everyone and welcome to the Art of Teaching Art. I'm Mrs. Darby and today I'm here to show you how to create a traced line drawing inspired by Michael Craig Martin. We will also be doing some line drawing activities to explore the shapes of these tools further. Now, we're being inspired by Michael Craig Martin. He does pieces of art inspired by everyday objects. I really like how he uses bold, bright colours and really lovely sharp edges. I'm also really inspired by his layered drawings where he layers multiple objects on top of each other, and that's what we're going to be inspired by today. Now, the reason we're tracing for this activity, firstly, we're going to work on developing our pencil control. We're going to be developing our drawing skills, and we're going to be able to draw nice, neat, smooth lines, which will really support developing your fine motor control as you move on to drawing from observation later on. This is also going to help you develop your knowledge of the shape and lines used to form tools. We're going to be doing a whole little project on tools, and it's important that you kind of understand the lines and shape that make up each tool. The last thing for this is it's going to help us to create an interesting composition. So rather than worrying about the accuracy of your drawing and layering, we're going to trace each thing. That's going to help you with your thinking about what tool goes best in each location. So I've got these two examples here. So when we're looking at these examples, one is in fine liner and one is in pencil. Both work perfectly well on tracing paper. Obviously, for some people, working with a pen feels more permanent, so maybe more tricky. Working with a pencil may feel easier, but I wouldn't recommend you rub out on tracing paper because it does sometimes leave a mark, and there is always the risk that the tracing paper could break. Now, with this, I thought really carefully about my composition. So composition is the layout of elements within a piece. So with this, I'm thinking about the layout of the tools where they are placed on the page. Now, I much prefer this composition. This one feels very orderly to me. I've got things going diagonally across as we move down the piece, and then some pieces coming across like this as well. Although for some people this might be a lot more interesting. I prefer this because it's a little bit more random. Although each piece has been carefully placed, we've got the 3 wrenches in the centre, the smaller tools going across the background of the piece. We've then got some edges of pieces coming in as well. So remember with this, you might have just little bits of tools coming in from the edges. You might have lots of full tools, but you're thinking really carefully about how you add everything onto the page and stopping and looking as you're working to see where there's a gap. You're thinking about the relationships and the spaces between all of the objects as well in your piece. So you will need some pictures of tools. You will need either a fine liner or a pencil, some masking tape and tracing paper. So let's get started. So I've got my tracing paper and I've selected a tool sheet. I'm just using the fine liner pen to go around all of the outline edges and adding in any details. I'm being really careful to notice the different details, mark them carefully, any text, any divots, any screws, any details at all. I'm just doing that with a nice smooth line, so I'm using the movement in my wrist to just make sure that I can get the whole of straight lines, working carefully and to the point for every single detail, taking my time to get it right, not just rushing on ahead because I'm tracing. So composition wise, I'm just doing the scraper to take up a large chunk in the centre of the piece, and I'm moving on to the other sheet which has smaller tools, so I've got that contrast between larger and smaller tools. I'm adding bits of the tools coming in from the side and adding some more intricate details coming across as well. I'm looking at the tracing paper each time to see where there's a gap and what tool will fit in that gap, and then going really carefully with the layering, so you're looking at where the lines come and making sure you don't interfere with another tool that you've already drawn. That actually takes quite a lot of patience to get that right. So just adding in another wrench, adding some more detail and looking carefully at the tracing paper and adding some things just on the edges. I have attached this using masking tape, but I keep peeling it up and sticking it back down onto the next image. So just adding the final details coming in and having a look at the image, just checking if there's anything final I want to add. Really important stage to just check that everything is where it's supposed to be and everything's there that you want there. And there we go, just peeling off the masking tape. I have completed this piece now, so we're going to move on to doing some line drawing exercises. We are going to do a range of things, including continuous line, quick drawing, opposite hand drawing, blind drawing and drawing from memory. So what I'm going to do is actually work from this, the line drawings that I see on this, into my book here. And this time I'm going to be working in pencil. So for the first drawing activity, I'm doing continuous line drawing. So this means you draw a line without taking your pencil or pen off the paper, and you try and draw the whole of the object with just one continuous line. So if you need to jump across to another area, you have to find a way to do that by continuing your pencil line on the paper. So I didn't get this quite accurate, but it is quite tricky with the continuous line. So next up, I'm going to do a timed drawing. So I'm just setting the timer to 30 seconds, so super quick there. And the aim is to try and draw the whole tool in that amount of time. Very much a challenge. Next up, I am moving on to an opposite hand drawing. So my normal hand is my right hand. I've got the pencil in my left hand, and you can see that my lines are slightly more shaky, slightly more curved, less smooth, but actually it gives a really nice sensitive drawing, and it really encourages you to look more carefully at the object, because you need to add just that more detail, that you need that little bit more concentration. So just finishing off the spoon now, and still adding in the final detail. So these are the highlights on the spoon as well. So quite a nice little drawing. I feel quite pleased with that one actually, with my opposite hand. So next up, we've got a blind drawing. So with this, I'm looking at the image on the paper, but I'm not looking at the image that I'm drawing. So my eyes are all the time focused on the tracing paper image, which is why it's not quite accurate, but it's a really nice free way of working. And last of all, I'm doing a memory drawing. So I'm looking really carefully at the hammer image there, memorising everything, and then turning the piece of paper over and drawing from memory. So you can see I'm adding all the details that I can remember, making adjustments and things as well. And this really does prove the point why we need to look at the photo when we are drawing something. So I'm bringing in the other image now so you can see. So although I've got the diagonal lines on the handle, I've got them going the wrong way, and I haven't quite got the proportion of the hammerhead right, which is really interesting to notice and definitely something I need to pay attention to later on. So here are the final layered drawings. We will be doing some more work with these to develop them a little bit further, and I've got my one in pencil as well. So some really lovely compositions to explore further through the project. And also with the line drawing activities, exploring use of line, different ways of drawing to be a little bit more expressive, with slightly sketched lines and more concrete lines. But it's really lovely to explore the shapes and lines you can create from drawing from these objects. Thank you so much for watching, and have a really great day.